Okay,
Do you need to do YouTube? Do you need
Okay, so
selesai?
classmates, let's say,
Wait a minute.
yeah, it's not the EVDI. Unless you want some EVDI. No, not EVDI. Inshallah, we have our class now, so that we can end the video so that I can make it in time to the masjid. Okay, I will listen to Allah spoken Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yes, well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
They can
الحمد
hear
لله
that
رب العالمين
clearly.
والصلاة
They can
والسلام
hear
على
clearly.
أشرف
Should I put a
الأنبياء
microphone?
والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه
You
أجمعين
know?
نوينا تعلم ونعلم نتذكر
Yeah, I can.
ونذكر والنفع والاندفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله
Oh,
وصحبه
guys,
وسلم
started.
ودعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته قربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك عفوا الدنيا وشر السافر يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو الدنيا وشر السافر يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم الذي وشر السافر يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين 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 يا رب العالمين. الحمد لله. We're going to start reading the first of the books. And today, inshallah, I want to focus more on the stories in the life of Sayyidah Fatimah Zahra. Inshallah. And yes, today we're going to on here وسبق يعمل Is it on the projector?
نعم شوي أستاذة. نعم.
Okay. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we continued from yesterday. And I know yesterday because it was really, I skipped like some important parts. And actually all of the parts are important, inshallah. What like on Sayyidah Fatimah Zahra. But I want to just mention a few specific incidences with regards to Sayyidah Fatimah Zahra. So yesterday we were speaking about her childhood. Right, as she supported the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It was, this incident, right, of how she stood up against the cowards and the bullies of the Quraysh, and we mentioned about that incident and how Rasulullah SAW gave her a prophecy about the future, that the return of your father will enter into every household, and he said that to her, and he informed her of this, and nothing comes out of his mouth except it is a wahyu. Like I said, it is an inspiration or revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he doesn't say things just so, to make her happy or whatsoever. No, but what he says is completely and absolutely correct. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And mashallah, we are with that right now. So what brought happiness to the heart of Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, when she was so distressed, seeing how these people treated her father, and how these people were so, arrogant, against the religion of truth, and that is one of the ways by which we will hold on to the Fatima Zahra, that we be proud of our religion, and then we stand up for what is true, that we are, that we're proud that we are Muslims, we don't feel, apologetic about what we believe in, and what we hold on to in our practices. We do not feel apologetic about that at all, because we understand that this is correct, this is truth, and this is haq, mashallah. And following the way of Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, do not be afraid. Even if the whole world is against you, do not be afraid, because there will come a time when the truth will prevail. And that was basically what happened in that incident, with regards to the Quraysh showing film on the blessed head and the blessed back of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then no matter what they do, eventually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control of the matter, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cause for his religion to be spread far and wide, even if the disbelievers hate it. Right, so that's the topic yesterday. Right, so here, Khasal al-Bir fi Zahra, righteous traits like in Zahra, and I don't want to skip this one because actually I don't want to skip everything lah. But it's really like mashallah, there's so much in here. So I was just reflecting and I was thinking, yeah, I have to go back to this. And you know what, we're gonna sing the entire poem there till the end of the Zahra, right? Till the end of the Dawra, right? Then I will just explain lah whatever I explain. Okay, inshallah. So if I want to stay on one chapter, I'll just stay on one chapter. But we'll continue our recitation, inshallah, to the end of the Dawra, and inshallah, Jumada Thaniya, we will think about doing a proper or a full explanation and reflection. But there's just so much, in this explanation, having pointed so much to the life of Sayyidah Zahra, and education, right, to the women that come in our time, in the end of times. Like, there's so much that he pointed to, and he even said things, Sarahatan, that he said some of his statements were just outright clear, just in your face statements of what was sung today. So, mashallah. Some things that, mashallah, this Allah's will, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created these great people, and He gave them the Arabic language, mashallah, as their language of delivery. In the language, and mashallah, because there's a language of Prophet alayhi wa sallam, right? And then Allah placed it on the shoulders of the non-Arabs, right? To take this and then to make it accessible to your people, inshallah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us of what He has placed on our shoulders. Um, so of the righteous trait of Zahra, and maybe this chapter, I think must spend time lah, right, on this chapter, right? That of what is obvious, in the righteous traits of Zahra from a very young age, of her, of her service, as you saw her steady old girl serving her father, and being strong and brave against those who are tyrants. And then her always in the service of her mother, Sayyidah Khadija. And in fact that she had observed this in her mother, Sayyidah Khadija, of her mother's, complete and unquestioning service towards the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She also this evening you will have the dars of Sayyidah Khadija, right? And you will see and you will appreciate. In fact, be amazed like by how Sayyidah Khadija she served Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in such a way that she has never ever gotten him upset sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the point that some of the scholars have said that she received the salam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because she was that one wife, right? That one wife of the Prophet who never made him upset. Mashallah, and anyone who's married, it's a feat. Right? It is an amazing thing, that you have on your track record. If you've never, ever made your husband upset, subhanAllah, it's amazing, mashallah. Mashallah. But so she had observed her mother, right, in that way, right, and so she had followed her mother in the footsteps of her mother, in the service of her father, and bring happiness and joy to the heart of her father, which brings us later on to the statements today about how he sallallahu alaihi wasallam would always honor her, and he would always visit her when he came back from a travel, right, and he would always seat her next to him whenever she would enter into the majlis. And today we have a few stories of their interactions between him and her Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sayyidah Fatimah az-Zahra. Right, so no much Allah. So her service to her father, and which is why she is called Abiha, and that was one of the chapters previously about her names. Right, and Abiha, then the mother of her father, and that was a kunya, that was given to her by her father, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Habib Abu Bakr Adani in another one of his lectures, like he mentioned that people always explain that the name Abiha, it is because she served her father, or she doted on her father, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She cared for her father, like how a mother does for her son. Right, the way Sayyidah Fatimah Zahra would really care for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was like a mother, right, who cared for her son. And the way Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated her was like how a son would treat a mother. Right, and that when he came back from travels, he would go to the masjid and then say the Fatima Zahra. Like how when anyone comes from travel, they will always go to the house of their mother first, and to visit their mother. And also how he would sit her next to him. That's how a son in a gathering sees his mother come in, and he gets up and he honors her and sits her next to him. Mashallah said that Nabi Muhammad would treat her like a mother, and she would care for her father, like how a mother cares for her son. And then so obviously that is what a lot of people will say about the interpretation, of this name Abiha, and it is correct. It is one of the interpretations of why she was called Abiha. But as a deeper and a more a deeper and a more like a deeper interpretation, they will only show itself, or that they will reveal itself, with the passing of time, right? Is that we see that truly she is the mother of her father, in that the descendants of her father will come through her. Right? So from another angle, right, the word mother of her father, right, it is indicative that she will carry on the lineage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the end of times. And it is said that to the end of times we have the Mahdi and we have Nabi Isa alayhi salam, and both of them got the nur, right? They got the nur. You said nur the nur of Nubuwah for Nabi Isa, and the nur of the nur of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for the Imam Mahdi, and they got this nur, right, from through a woman. Both of them, they got the nur through a woman, right? So Nabi Isa, got it, of course, the Maryam, there was no man in between, right? So from Sayyidina Imran, the father of the Maryam, like the nur of prophethood entered into Sayyidina Maryam, to come out through Nabi Isa alayhi salam. So he got the sir, he got the secret, he got the nur, he got the path, the way, the guidance through a woman. by a woman, passed it down. Which is not just not the common, what is common, but Allah does what He wants to do His creation. And then for the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it came through a woman as well. I said about Fatimah Zahra, and she took, the most intense extent, the nur of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered into her, and somehow she will always be described to be exactly like him. And there was read today as well in the Manzuma, part of our ocean today was really how she was exactly like him. So she was, an extension of him. She's a part of him. She is exactly like him on the way she walked, from the way she thought, from everything about her was exactly like her father, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And that this was a nur, it was light that passed into her. So usually light will pass into, men, right? But this passed into her, and she carried this light, and she passed it into her two sons, Al Hassan and Al Hussein, which we also read about today, as when about the story of the big one and their birth, whereby Hassan used his upper part of his body was exactly like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Al Hussein, his lower part of his body was exactly like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would dote on them, and he would come to them and he would teach them and he would, he would play with them and so on. Him knowing that his two grandsons work, they are the ones who will carry his lineage till the end of time, and this lineage is very important, and to help the Muslims, to be you say, as you said, to be an immunity, an asylum for Muslims, right, to run to for safety, right, for safety from the fitna and from the tribulation to the end of time. The lineage of Sayyidina Al Hassan and the lineage of Sayyidina Al Hussein, mashallah. And the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he knew that his two beloved grandsons would be murdered, right? They would be killed, assassinated, right, by the Muslims of their time. Right? And Sayyidina Al-Hassan and Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to, he used to kiss, like a peck, and how you do to children, right? And he used to kiss, or used to peck the lips of Sayyidina Al-Hassan, and he used to kiss the neck of Sayyidina Al-Hussein, saying that from here, right, from here, they'll be marching, right? From here they'll be marching, right? And that and Sayyidina Hassan, he was martyred by being poisoned. He was poisoned by his own wife. So through the mouth, right? Through the mouth, he was being poisoned. And Sayyidina Al Hussein, he was beheaded. In a famous story that will be mentioned, on the coming days on the 10th of Muharram, by this commemoration. And even as we are Sunni, we are all, at the most part, I think all of us are Sunni, right? So while the events in Karbala, like we should also commemorate, right, those events whereby commemorate uh, is to just to reflect and to remember and to know about the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was a grievous day, it was a very dark day in the history of Islam, whereby the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was massacred, like on the day of Karbala. And so as Sunnis, and sometimes as Sunnis we tend to not, get so involved with the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and events around them. Um, Previously before I went studying, I myself also was not so, and into all these things, because we would not consider ourselves to be involved in all these things. But mashallah, it is from iman to love the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so when events happen in the history of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family, and their grievous and tragic events, right, then as Muslims, we reflect and we commemorate, and we put our, we do our khatam of our Quran, for them, and and we speak about it, in out of our love for our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and for our mother Sayyidah Fatimah al-Zahra, mashallah. Right, so just about some of her salih, some of her traits, right, that of her service to her father, right, and uh, 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 has of the traits of the service to her father, then the traits of her father that is on her, of patience and humility, and firmness and strength that she used to have. So, alayhi salam, she would take from both of her father and her mother. She inherited the best of traits, and that's how it has been mentioned that Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, she is a graduate, like a top graduate of the school of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being trained on the character, on noble character, on generosity, on patience, on gratitude. And mashallah, that she used to have, mashallah. And that she went, and that her going through so many difficulties, so much difficulty, that it was part of the building of her character. But she, as a teenager, she lost her mother during the boycott, or after the boycott, in fact. And about the boycott that happened at the time of Rasulullah, it weakened Sayyidah Khadija greatly, which led to her eventual death. And Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, we must be observant, we must see this entire matter, that she was a little girl when her father was raised to be a prophet at 5 years old. And she grew up in the first 10 years in Makkah, from the age of 5 to the age of 15, like seeing the persecution and the torture and the abuse, and the, just the entire, ordeal that the Muslim had to go through, because of the truth and because of holding out the truth. She saw and she witnessed, and she also bore with it. Right, as in another narration, not here, but another narration, of how Abu Jahl once slapped her across the face. Hit her. Abu Jahl is such a bully to hit a small girl. He hit her across the face, and he did that because she resembled his enemy, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just because she resembled Rasulullah, Abu Jahl hit her across the face. Right, and Sayyidina Umar back then, who had not come into Islam, I found Sayyidina Fatima Zahra weeping by the side, by the road, and when he inquired, and mashallah, this is the truth, Sayyidina Umar, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the best of you in Jahiliyyah are the best of you in Islam, and the best of you before Islam are the best of you after Islam. I mean, they have good traits, very good traits. As I the story short, Sayyidina Umar, he stops by Sayyidina Fatima Zahra, seeing her weeping, asking her why, and she told him, what Abu Jahl did. And Sayyidina Umar, she told come with me, and he brought her, and she was a small girl this time, a young girl, and he brought her to Abu Jahl, to which Abu Jahl welcomed Sayyidina Umar, because Sayyidina Umar is a nephew of Abu Jahl. And Sayyidina Umar hit Abu Jahl and he slapped him across the face. And he said that if you have a problem with her father, then go and take it up on her father. Don't take it out on her. Right? She's a girl, a small little girl. What's wrong with you? and subhanAllah, what is wrong with Abu Jahl? Like, what is wrong with him? To hit a girl just because she looks like her father and you hit her father. Like, what kind of nonsense is that? Like, but Sayyidina Omar told him, if you want to be an enemy to her father, then go and be an enemy to her father, not to her. And stop being ridiculous. And so he did that. And Sayyidina Fatima Zahra was so pleased with what she saw, and mashallah, the pleasure of Sayyidina Fatima Zahra. In the pleasure of Sayyidina Fatima Zahra is the pleasure of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in the pleasure of the Prophet, it is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فاطمة بدعة مني يبسطني ما يبسطها ويبغضني ما يبغضها. Right? Fatima is a part of me. It pleases me what pleases her, and it distresses me what distresses her. And in the hadith itself is mashallah, وإن الأنصاب تنقطع يوم القيامة إلا نسبي وسببي وسهري. The hadith goes on and says, and for surely, all of connection will be cut off, all of relations will be cut off on the day of judgment, except my relations, my and here is what the scholars say, and this includes all the believers, was Sihri and those who are married into my family. And mashallah, and it is all again like all of these immunities Rasul is wanting us to hold on to all of these things. When we say Umar, in his service, in his service as a non-Muslim to Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, to stand up for her and for her rights. Rasulullah made dua at that point in time, and he made dua for Sayyidina Umar specifically. There is not a dua, but he makes dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide one of the two Umars, being Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab and Amr bin Hisham, who is Abu Jahl. Right, but there is also another narration that says that he made dua specifically for Sayyidina Umar, right, because of his service to Sayyidina Fatimah al-Zahra. Right, so mashallah, and of course the dua came to Sayyidina Umar, mashallah, right, so his hidayah came because of his service and his seeking justice for the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We'll take the class at 8 o'clock, then 8 o'clock we will stop, so then inshallah we can continue our video. Okay, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Now, and then here, I'm just thinking, but so then, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. MashaAllah. Right, which despite speaks about Sayyidah Khadija, and there's a part about Sayyidah Khadija here, and which eventually leads to the death of Sayyidah Khadija. And there's about the decision of Sayyidah Khadija. MashaAllah. Okay, the next one is okay. Okay, so from all this from yesterday and into this reading and Hijrah, there is one incident that is mentioned here about Sayyidah Fatimah Zahra being abused. On her way to her, on the way to migrate from Makkah to Medina. So as mentioned, all of Sayyidah Fatimah Zahra, she went through everything the Prophet Sallallahu went through. So what all the suffering and the persecution and the abuse Sayyidah Fatima Zahra herself will also go through. And so even when she had to go and eventually do the hijrah, and you can imagine how distressing this is for her. You put yourself in her shoes, no matter in her blessed shoes. And you imagine your mother just passed away. You're 15. Okay, you're 15. Your mother just passed away. Maybe 18 at this point. Or less than. So you're a teenager, right? Between 15 to 18 years old. Your mother just passed away. Your beloved mother just passed away, right? Your one sister, one of your sisters. You have 4 sisters. You have 3 sisters. One sister is in Habsha, and one sister is in Abyssinia. It's gone off to her husband. And another sister cannot leave Makkah, right? Because her husband is a disbeliever. Their sister Zainab, right? Your father has just left Makkah, and he is the most wanted person, right? In the entire Makkah, with 100 camels being promised for his head, whether dead or alive, right? So can you imagine being in those shoes, right? So with all of this going on, and now she has to leave, Mecca to migrate to Medina. So by this point, whenever she's leaving, the Rasulullah had already safely arrived in Medina. But can you imagine the entire worry and all this that she went through? And this is pretty much Allah. They go through the worst of, they go through really the most difficult trials, right? But they are the best of people, mashallah. And it wasn't bad, but because they go through the most difficult trials, right, they become the best of people. I saw it and the most patience, subhanAllah, striving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in fact, it is required from them even more, right, to be patient and to be and striving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where we'll see the story that came today later on, when she requested for a servant, and the famous story which we requested for a servant, and then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave her a set of dhikr. It stated, and that was enough for her. There was no complaints, and in fact, more than enough. And again, there you find the prophetic indication, all the prophetic indications, that Habib Abu Bakr will point out, to us, the prophetic indication, with regards to material assistance and spiritual assistance. In that spiritual assistance is way better and more effective and more to be relied on, right? And you should hold on strongly, even more to it than physical assistance, right? So in anything in life, right, you take the spiritual asbab, right, the spiritual asbab in the spiritual means, right, towards something. It is more, you should be doing this even more, right? Then use not physical asbab, physical means, right, to something. Let me give you an example, right? So for example, we recite our Quran every morning. We do our Quran. That is us taking a spiritual asbab. Our spiritual asbab. We're doing our Quran every morning. We're taking something spiritual for protection, right? And it's gonna be physical and of course emotional and mental and religious protection. When we do our Quran, that is a spiritual there is spiritual effort, right? Spiritual effort. People tend to think that doing this does not count as you putting effort. They will say, "Where's your usaha? Where's your effort?" And you're like, "My sitting in the morning is my effort." And it is true. Your sitting in the morning is your effort. Your work love in the morning is your effort. Your working out in the evening is your effort. These are your efforts. These count as efforts. Right? People think that effort means I have to do something physical. I have to go out and do something physical. I have to ensure something. No, effort can be physical, it can be spiritual. And where's the proof? Our Prophet, wasallam, she asks for a servant to help her in the household. He gives her subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. And he says, this will help you. This one, this right here will help you. Right? So people in our time, when they dismiss um, all the spiritual asbab, the spiritual efforts, means to gain something, and then they would blame people who, يكتفي بهذه, right? It suffices them, what they do spiritually, it suffices them, right? And they have no worries. They don't bother thinking anything else. They don't bother doing anything else because they don't trust the physical as well. So it's a very profound lesson that Habib Abu Bakr pointed out about the story of Sayyidah Fatimah Zahra and and the Zikr Fatimiyya, the Zikr Fatimiyya, and wanting a servant. And it's very, very, profound. It was the end of time. And when all foods will be tainted by the haram, this will happen to the end of time. May Allah make us slightly for that. It's gonna be so. Now we're seeing all the majority of the foods in this world are all tainted with shubha. Like this polluted pollution of shubha. If you want something, to be completely pure and tayyib, you gotta grow it yourself. I mean, for most times, or because you just subhanallah, they've touched everything. They've GM'd everything. They've genetic modified everything. So like towards the end of time, it will come to the point where all the food is haram, like tainted by the haram. All the food. And so all the believer eats. The believer will eat his dhikr. The sustenance or the nutrition of the believer will be dhikr. It will be dhikr. In the time of Imam Nabi Isa and the Mahdi and the Dajjal, the dhikr of the believer will be dhikr. Yes, it is the food of the believer will be dhikr. And if you don't get yourself used to it by now, then if you face that time, you're gonna starve and and you might succumb and eat all this food that the Dajjal has prepared. Subhanallah. And of course, this will extend beyond this food, and mashallah, it will extend beyond this food, to the point where you cannot get involved with, the media. You cannot get involved with the music industry. You cannot. There is no halal position. It will come to that point. Towards the end of the day, it will come to that point. And so the only safety for you, right, is dhikrullah. الدنيا ملعونة والملعونة ما فيها إلا dhikrullah. And this statement of the Prophet ﷺ, subhanallah, he kept asking, the more you listen, it's everywhere. Right, this fitna حول this towards the end of time, it's everywhere. All of his kalam, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, everywhere. He's pointing and he's pointing and he's pointing. But are we listening? Are we paying attention, right, to what he's saying? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it's like, all of his works, they don't go beyond hadith and Quran. It is just hadith and Quran purely. Because there's so much material there, mashallah. When you continue with this, so she left for the hijrah, and there was an incident, whereby there was an incident whereby a mushrik, she left, وحانت هجرة زهراء في يوم مع العباس والأرجاء ترسل. فجاء المشرك المزعوم يؤذي بعير رحل إيذاء مؤكد وأسقطها على أرض عراء سقوط الرحل واشتد. So what happened here was that the incident of Sayyidah Fatimah being harmed there. So on a hijrah, and she was going off with the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Al-Abbas. So he will be her great uncle, right? And when the mushrik came and caused for for the animal that they were on to be frightened, right? And then they caused one to fall. And it's a very bad fall. Very bad fall. When someone falls from the camel, it's a very bad fall. Right? So she fell and then she was severely hurt by the fall. And this message came to the Prophet ﷺ about someone hurting but to um, and this was grievous unto the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there are narrations, by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his grief, and someone hurting Sayyidah Fatimah Zahra, he made a dua, which basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him. No, he made a vow, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to expiate the vow, not to carry on the vow. And this is another story, inshallah. But mashallah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, and how so we see the struggles of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased for the struggles, for this ummah. And because of her, we have the prime example of a woman, subhanallah. And so with her hijrah, right? And then with her, okay, then with her entering to Medina, and the events that just come to this beat of this incident. Okay, her marriage, right? So of course, it's part here. When she was in Medina, she would with all of the Muslims, she would get involved with the whatever battles that were that happened with the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So the Fatima Zahra was involved. She was involved. So we don't say it's just would be a misunderstanding. Whereby people might think that I want to be as modest as possible. I want to be modest as Fatima Zahra, and then they don't get involved in anything at all. But we see our lady, our mother, Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, with the height of her modesty and the extreme modesty, or not extreme, but the great modesty of Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, that we see in her did not stop her. I did not stop her from assisting her father in something as subhanAllah, something as you say demanding as war. Mashallah, going to fight in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she would nurse people, and she was in this narrative that she nursed her father from his injuries in the war on the battle of Uhud. And mashallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward her really on our behalf. And so all these stories of her and her life in Medina. And then of course comes to her marriage, Sayyidina Ali, Karamallahu wajha, right, which basically, the summary of it is that after many of the men proposed sort of Fatima Zahra, Rasulullah would reject each and every one of them gently. And it was gentle rejection until Sayyidina Ali came. And Sayyidina Ali, Rasulullah showed his happiness with the coming of Sayyidina Ali. And the center of Sayyidina Ali was indicated to him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the husband of Sayyidina Fatima Zahra is none other than Sayyidina Ali, whom she grew up with. She grew up with Sayyidina Ali because Sayyidina Ali was in the household of Rasulullah from a very young age. Actually, they grew up together, and they were trained, at the hands of the Prophet ﷺ from a very young age. MashaAllah. And the stories of this, the entire story of him getting married to her. And also, one thing to point out here is her zuhud. Her zuhud. Her abstinence, her denial, her detachment from this dunya, her staying away from this world, and right in there, in the way of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, in not accumulating wealth, in fact having such minimal wealth, subhanallah. When like he says, وما في بيتي شيء غير ثمن وفرش حشوه ليف معقد. سبحان الله. ورملا كان مبسوطا وكوزا وقربة الماء شرب لم تخرج. These are the things that was in there. وهذا منزل الكرار دأبا وعيش الحيدر المألوف Sarman. And this was the house of Sayyidah Fatimah Zahra, and Sayyidina Ali. Whereby there's hardly anything in there. And they hardly had anything. They had some, they had, a container, of dates maybe. They had a water tumbler that was not really effective in keeping anything cold. And then they had like a mattress and the flooring, people wonder about the flooring of houses back then. Right? Some houses back then would have mats and they would have like, carpets. Right? But the poor, all they would have is soft sand. Right, soft sand, right? Or soft sand, and sometimes even if you're very poor, then just be normal sand, right? Normal sand on the ground, right? That is their flooring, right? Their flooring is in that, mashallah, and this shows their how impoverished they were, subhanallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Inshallah, we will stop there. As because the manzilah of Sayyidina Fatimah Zahra al-Batul and her fadl is really, inshallah, something to reflect on, speak about. So we just say what we can take, inshallah, and then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us blessing in this knowledge. Right, inshallah, this the knowledge of the of Shulness as well. We pointed some of these things, we spoke about some of it. Um, and we spoke about some of it. But I want to mention one of the lines today that was read. That is mentioned here. Now, okay, here this part. Right, so ويوما سأل الزار أهلا لمن ترجو الهدى حقا وتحمل فقالت فاطم أن لا يراها جميع أو ترى شخصا بمقصد فسر المصطفى من قال عنها لفاطمة بضعة مني تجسد قبلها وقد لقيت مناها وأقسم أنها بنت محمد سبحان الله وهذا okay, I'm just going to introduce what was happening for that because then I want to point out what Habib said. Okay, so basically the story is a famous story that happened, like whereby Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked the question, what is best for a woman and what is best for a woman? Like, and no one could answer the question. It was supposed to, is there this narration on this? It was supposed to the Sahaba in general, and there's a narration that it was supposed to the wives of the Prophet Sallallahu specifically. Right, so, and no one could answer this question, what is best for a woman? And said the Fatima al-Zahra, right, she come and she gave the answer, and she said that no man, there is not of a family, sees her, nor does she see any man. And this delighted the Prophet ﷺ so much in this statement of Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra. And you think of this statement. I just think of this statement. No men see her, nor does she see other men, and apply it in our time. Right? And the word seeing here is of course the physical seeing, right? But of the meaning of gaining the attention, right? Gaining the attention, right? So and an attraction, right? So look at our time, and look at our time. We have like a major musibah going on, with the TikTok world, whereby our young are being sucked in. Yes, all of these platforms have some goodness in them, some, right? But minimal, minimal goodness. There is some, right? But it's just so distressful, or distressing how people are being sucked like into all this. This entire culture without thinking. Without thinking that no man sees her, and do not place yourself out there. And in fact, subhanallah, in our zaman right now, people can literally, and this is the words of Fatima Zahra, you want protection. Do you want protection? Do you want protection, or woman? Or woman, if you want protection, then be out of the limelight. Like, be out of the limelight. Do not place yourself out there. Do not place, even you place like a picture that you would think is completely innocent. Like and it has happened, right? Even to Muslims and even to Asatiza, it has happened that people take the faces of these people and they Photoshop it onto images that are so disgusting, right? But and it's not hard for people to do it. It's not hard for people to do it, to do a fitna in this way, and to do a, to take someone's face and then to put it onto a different body, right? And then it's so disturbing, and they have apps now. They have apps now that can literally, from a person's picture, the app can remove the clothes of that person. What? It's so la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. But people are naive and naive and trusting. Whatever you put on the internet, always remember whatever you put on the internet is never, whatever you put on the internet is permanent and it's never private. Right? So always think about that. Whatever you put on the internet is permanent and never private. Right? So to think about, subhanAllah, the words of our beloved mother, Sayyidah Fatimah, and this is the internet, she was in her time, it's just like normal society, subhanAllah. Our time, we have like, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Like, so mashallah, like mashallah, one thing, what people like that I was saying to my husband about the banat al-Zahra, or the banat al-Zahra, Banat Zahra, the daughters of Fatima Zahra, right? That other people could be going through in all this fitna of people messing with their bodies, digitally, digitally messing with their bodies and doing all kind of stuff. But the banat will not be touched. And why? Because the banat have protection. The banat have what do you call it, an immunity, right? The banat, they have it. Why? Because they follow this hadith. They follow this statement, not to have them see you, nor you see them. Right? So do you see anyone trying to, harm the banat in any way, of the Zahra or the banat of Zahra? You don't see anyone because they are not known to the men. The men don't know them. Right? So the men can't harm what they don't know. Whereas and made Allah protect all of our women. But to just be very loud and tell our women that you are being attacked and you're being abused and you're being, in this digital age, you're being used in this digital age, right? Because like of not holding on to this immunity of being out of the limelight and being away, right, from the knowledge of men. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and protect all our men. But here's one point here that Habib said, وهذا ملحظ للسر دافن لمن فهمت إشارات تؤكد. So he's like, his statements are like, يوم حشر ينادى فلتغض الطرف في المجد وأفضل نسوة الأسرى مقاما كما قد جاء في النص مؤيد خديجة ثم فاطمة تليها ومريم ثم آسيا تفنن وفي قول طريق للعذراء فضلا وفضل الله للزهراء بلا حد وكان شبه والدها ملاحا وسمتا بل إذا سارت كأحمد ما شاء الله. Like, so this is here, like, so basically this point she says that a man doesn't see her and that she doesn't see a man, this pleased the Prophet so much that he got up and he went to her and he kissed her between her eyes, showing his, showing his great happiness, and then saying that, descendants one from another, from the Quran, they are descendants one from another, and she is my, and like those times actually where he said that I bear witness that Fatima is the daughter of Muhammad, or she is the daughter of Muhammad, in the sense that it's exactly like her father. And her answer was on point, on point, on point. And this is what it is, correct, O Fatima. And then he gave his highlighted the point that, Fatima is a part of me. Fatima is an extension of me. She understood this very important principle. This very important principle of hiding, of hiding the woman away from the men. and hiding the men away from the women to stay apart. They are responsible very strongly, subhanAllah. And here, Habib says that this is, you can see this point here. There's a secret here of whoever understands, all these indications by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You look at this and it applies in our time. You will close the door to so much shar. And so much evil will be closed on. But people, as you said in yesterday, people don't trust this. They don't. Or their lust is too strong or whatever. They will argue. The more you say, no, you know what, no, stay behind closed doors. Stay away from the limelight. Stay away from all these things. Stay away from all this media. There'll be the argument and argument and argument. And but we see that, what? Sayyidah Fatimah al-Zahra has been given immunity because she's with our Mustafa. She's part of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so mashallah, on the day of judgment, and of those who will be gathered together with her, and considered together with her, and of the prime moment, and he mentions two narrations, of the rankings, and Khadija, Sayyidah Fatima, then Sayyidah Maryam, then Sayyidah Asya, and he mentions another narration that places Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra top, right? So she's the first one and the best of them. And because she is exactly like her father, even her walk is like her father. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa alayhi salam, wa ala أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. What one? Inshallah, we'll stop there. Like, okay, inshallah. Okay, وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه وسلم. الفاتحه على الله الكلام النافع وعمل الخاص ودلال الهدى ويسر به قوم النبي محمد صلى الله عليه واله وصحبه وسلم والى ارواح معاذ والشيخنا وذوي الحمد علينا والى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه واله وصحبه وسلم. الفاتحه.